All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Hot Route Takes. I'm your host, Chase Owens, with my fellow co hosts, Brian Sarver and Christian Mills. Apologies for the abrupt recording session in the front seat of my car, but some days you just got to go with what you got, and that's where we're at today. But that said, we're coming to you a little bit later than we usually like to, but scheduling conflicts yesterday prevented us from recording, so we're here together and ready to knock out this NFL Week 13 recap for you guys. A lot of good stuff to get to here. Uh, Starting with the Thursday night game, as always, one that I fell asleep on and saw Seattle up by, I think it was 8 points. Woke up the next morning and saw Dak Prescott led a comeback victory for the Dallas Cowboys to move them to 9-3. Just an all-around great game, one of the better games of the year when I got a chance to sit down and watch the highlights. So, guys, if you were able to stay up for this Monday night game, or or Thursday night game, or if it happened to be Friday morning when you saw the highlights, what impressed you from each team? Because it was a heck of a game.
I thought Dak Prescott played a heck of a game, just continuing his MVP campaign. This was a straw in his hat because he played a phenomenal game, 3 touchdowns, kept the ball and out of harm's way, and just played a good football game, man. Not a whole lot of aiding on the ground in this game. They just passed the football, both teams did, and it was a shootout, a true shootout. Geno Smith rose to the occasion, without his running back Kenneth Walker, was able to dial up a beautiful deep ball of DK Metcalf, and DK Metcalf posted the fastest recorded time so far this season at 23.5 miles per hour. So credit to him. I don't know how long that will last with Tyreek Hill. Definitely upset about that one. Anyway, good performance. Geno Smith normally plays down in these kind of games against good defenses, but good to see him have a good game against a really good defense.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay on the Seattle side. I think Geno Smith impressed me the most. We've seen him down and out really a couple games now with the injuries, and then seeing DK Metcalf in a big moment. Him not being the greatest route runner, people say, but in this game, when it came to big plays and big moments, DK Metcalf raised to the occasion. So I think Kenneth Walker is the only thing that Seattle's missing right now. I think when he comes back, and if Geno keeps this play up, I think that's what they need going forward.
Yeah, perhaps the game of the week, and it happened on Thursday night. When we get to Sunday, honestly, this first one, Christian, I'll let you just take it all because I don't have much to say. What can you say about a 6-0 football game? You don't get many of those nowadays, but a win is a win for your Chargers and a shutout for your Chargers defense. I know it's the Patriots offense, but maybe you saw some schematic things. Khalil Mack, another good day that made you happy with the Chargers defense. Christian, what'd you see from that football game?
Yeah, I think the weather did kind of maybe play a little bit of a factor into the whole how bad this game was played offensively. But these guys are in the NFL; they need to play better than this, no matter what the weather is. But I will say, Austin Eckler, I don't know what's going on with him. I talked to Brian off the pod about it, and this dude had only 18 yards and 14 carries. Just not what he's supposed to be for this team. And when he went for his payday, I'm kind of glad we didn't pay him if this is what we're going to see moving forward. But I will say, Quentin Johnson, man, I'm selling my stock in that guy. Like, I'm selling it all at this point. I seen a stat with all the receivers, and he's the lowest one out of all of them that got drafted in receiving yards right now. But for the Chargers side, I will say the defense is looking better. Khalil Mack has really stepped up and took on that role, and I think he's leading the NFL in sacks right now. So I just think, for the Patriots side of things, if Bill Belichick is trying to get the number one pick, he's doing a great job. But if this is really what he's putting out there on the field, Brian's been on it. Bill Belichick might not be there much longer.
Yeah. A showcasing for his future team, as Christian kind of called this one. It was just a sloppy weather game and some sloppy offense, especially on the Pat side. But Christian's Chargers coming out on top. Brian, no sloppy offense from your Miami Dolphins in Week 13. They just pretty much dismantled the Commanders from the jump. A 45-15 final to move to 9-3 on the season. What things impressed you the most from your dominant win Sunday?
I think you can go a number of different directions here because it was a dominating performance by Miami. I think Tua had one of his better games of the year. I mean, not surprising when the opposing defense decides not to pay special attention to Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek Hill, I mean, there was a play where he was in the slot. They had a safety, single high look, and Miami was an empty. And the safety's actually shading over to the opposite side of the field where Devon Achane is versus Tyreek Hill. And to an audible, he saw it, and they just, I mean, 80-yard touchdown at the gate. And it wasn't just that. It wasn't the explosive plays. We've all seen Miami have the explosive plays, but it's been the ability to just put a team away with a long, sustained drive on the ground in the third quarter. Last week, I think we had a 10-minute drive that just lasted like the length of the third quarter just to put them away. And it was kind of a similar thing in this game where we just ran the ball down the field. I mean, didn't throw the ball one time and just ran all the way down the field and scored a touchdown. I mean, we're dominating up front. It's not just the skill position. It's not just Tua. It's the offensive line. It's the running game. It's the defense. It's not just the D line. It's the coverage unit. I mean, it's just been a really dominating performance, but I'm ready to see Miami play more competent levels of competition so I can really get a gauge on this thing because this was pretty ugly. And honestly, the Commanders need to fire Ron Rivera ASAP. So
Yeah. I would expect that to come very soon here. The next one, Christian, I'll let you touch on because it has an AFC West opponent in this game, and it was a rather good game. Denver did fall to 6-6 on the road against the now 7-5 Houston Texans. And just looking at the stat line here, Russell with the 3 picks, probably the catalyst to their defeat, including one that happened on third and goal really late in the fourth quarter, a chance to win the game. It happened in the end zone. So unable to steal a victory on the road. Christian, what'd you see from Denver, and what'd you see from C.J. Stroud and company in Houston to give them the victory in this one?
Yeah, just on the Denver side of things, this is what I said. If they were going to go into this game and go down and have to really depend on Russell Wilson, it wasn't going to happen. And that's kind of what I seen in this game. They were fighting always down. I mean, they had a chance to really come back at the end of the game, but before then, they're not getting the running game established. It's really Russell Wilson having to take over the game. I will say him and Courtland Sutton had 2 of the good, amazing catches. I think one did get called back during the game, but I just think Russell Wilson, I mean, he had a chance to win the game, not that much time left on the clock. But I will say for Houston side of the thing, I mean, I will say Nico Collins took over. I mean, we ain't seen a real true number one guy really consistently, but I think, we all seen the Tank Dell injury, and more than likely he's out for the year. So I expect Nico Collins to be the guy moving forward for Houston and really stepping up to that number one role and being CJ Stroud's guy. But I will say another thing, they did try to get this running game going again for Houston. Pierce did get the touchdown, which was on the Tank Dell injury, but I think moving forward, at least get that running game going, and just Nico Collins going to probably have to keep this up if they expect to win games like this.
Yep. This AFC wildcard picture is very much heating up right now, and this next team is right in the thick of it. It's another AFC South team, the Indianapolis Colts, who moved to 7-5 thanks to an overtime victory over the Tennessee Titans on the road. Titans dropped to 4-8. Their playoff hopes, if there was any, is pretty much dashed at this point. And credit to Gardner Minshew, who went over 300 yards passing on the day. No real great ground game that we expect the Colts offense to lean on. None of that in Sunday's contest. Instead, it was Gardner Minshew. He hit a long touchdown to Alec Pierce and another long play to set up the game-winning touchdown in overtime to Michael Pittman, who had a great day on the receiving end. Indianapolis, maybe a team Christian was on early in the year, and despite the Anthony Richardson injury, they're still hanging around, and maybe they still have a playoff spot. I don't know if it comes to that, but you can't ignore them, and a 7-5 record warrants a little more attention maybe from us. So just credit to them for handling business Sunday afternoon. Next up, Brian, I'll let you touch on this one. It's the Detroit Lions taking a 33-28 road victory, bounce back win. After the Thanksgiving loss, they came out victorious over the New Orleans Saints. Rather good game, although they jumped out to a huge lead early on. The Saints kind of snuck back in this one, made it a ball game. What was the ended up being the difference for Jared Goff to hold on to this one and get the Lions to 9-3?
Yeah, I have a take on this later on.
Okay.
And to be honest, man, it wasn't pretty from Detroit side of things. And the Saints did what they've done all season long, which is be consistently inconsistent. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
they were horrible to start the game. Like, I mean, spotted Detroit 21 off the gate in the first 6 minutes of the game, and then dominated majority of the game. Derek Carr hits 15 passes in a row in the second half, and it looks like they have all the momentum. They're coming back. They're looking like they're going to win the game. And he goes out. Jameis Winston comes in, and there was literally a drive where Jameis Winston had 3 opportunities to make a big play, missed them all, and Detroit got the ball back and ended up winning this game. I have my take later on. I'm going to save it for then, but just know Detroit maybe be fraudulent this year, man.
Yeah, it's a little concerning, but 9-3 record. It's probably going to be good enough as long as they don't completely fall apart and win the NFC North. They're in the driver's seat. Although Brian's Packers is making a charge, I don't know if they got enough in them to overtake Detroit, but maybe that's where he's
I don't
leaning.
think so.
We'll see. We'll see. Next game
That's my
here,
take.
guys. It's going to be the now 6-6 Falcons winning the football game on the road against the 4-8 now New York Jets, a 13-8 final. Atlanta's defense just doing kind of what we expected against this Jets offense, who ended up putting Simeon into the game, who's the 4th quarterback to take a snap for the Jets this season. Obviously, if I told you that at the beginning of the year, you known that this is not going to be a successful year for the Jets. And lo and behold, they now sit at 4-8. So, Brian, I'll let you clean up any notes you have from a team in your division and a team that you've been higher on in the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I bet you them Jets wish they had a Desmond Ritter about right now, huh? I mean, it was pretty ugly. Trevor Simeon had 5 completed passes on 13 attempts and lost 3 fumbles. I mean, he had a negative input on this game. Like, it was not good. Like, they need to go back to Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was making this look a lot better than it's looked. And, you know, I've been one of the Zach Wilson haters out there, some would say, but I mean, Tim Boyle and Trevor Simeon, just absolute egg here. Brees Hall at 13 attempts for 16 yards, guys. I mean, this offense is disastrous. I don't know which one's worse, the New York Jets or the New England Patriots. I mean, really, they're both just hot garbage. And you know, the Falcons won this game. Luckily, I would say they got pretty lucky. Desmond Ritter. I mean, this is probably one of his better games. Truth be told, he didn't turn the ball over, and it's against a good
That's
defense.
sad.
But
That's sad, but
it
yes.
is. Bijan did a little bit on the ground, but I mean, this game is just ugly, man, all the way through. Pitiful offense on both sides, and good defense by the Jets. But golly,
Yep.
I don't got
That said, the Falcons sit at 6-6 and atop the NFC South right now. So
yes, sir.
go figure. Go figure. Next up, just trailing them now at 5-7 is Christian's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's been preaching them all year, and it may not have been the cleanest victory at home against the now 1-11 Carolina Panthers, but it was a 21-18 final. And just a quick love note to Mike Evans passing the 1,000-yard in a season mark, receiving for every year in his career since he's been in the league. Like, just on his way to the Hall of Fame, and I don't think it really gets talked about enough, but he's been so good for so long. Another big day today, and he was pretty much the catalyst for Tampa Bay. Christian, what did you see from the Bucs to put together a win against the team they're supposed to beat at home and stay in the NFC South race?
Yeah, I seen Mike Evans become the 1, 2, and 3 wide receiver in this game. I know Chris Godwin did have a couple injuries coming into this game, and I mean, it really showed he didn't have anything on the field. But I will say it looks like it's going to be Mike Evans and White really carrying this Bucs team offensively, as long as Baker Mayfield's hitting those deep balls. I think it's going to work. I will say Baker did look a little shaky with the weather, with the rain coming down. But once the rain stopped, Baker did play a lot better. But I know that was a thing in Cleveland when they went on a long run of having bad weather games there, and Baker just did not play great. But I will say, I mean, it's a tough game. They did almost let the Panthers come back, but just the play calling on Carolina's side when it was the 4th and 1 was just god awful. I mean, didn't have a chance from the start, but I will say Bryce Young did play good. I mean, I ain't gonna say he played great or good. He played reasonable. I think, it just really depends. I mean, Jonathan Mingo did have one catch. They said wasn't a catch. It was a big play, but I mean, I'm not going to talk too much about the Panthers, but I do think that's something that the Panthers missing is just the big plays. I mean, even when Baker was there last year, they at least had, a wide receiver screen that would go big, but this year they have nothing explosive on that side. I think, I mean, if they had one of those in this game, they could easily have won maybe on the other side. But I just think Tampa Bay moving forward, just keep Baker doing what he's doing. Don't make him overdo anything. Just let him play his brand of ball that he's playing this year and just keep White getting, 20 touches today, or not today, but 20 touches in this game. I think just moving forward, they have to keep running this ball and getting Mike Evans involved.
Yep. Agree with you. Everything you said there, Christian. Moving up next, we've got the now 7-5 Cleveland Browns dropping one on the road to the LA Rams. And honestly, guys,
Go Flacco!
I know my guy Joe Cool got me a Super Bowl, and honestly, he did not look that bad. I mean, I know he's still a statue back there; he can't move around, but when it comes to pure, like, just putting the ball where it needs to be, he can really work the seam still, and he had a pretty efficient day. He had them in range to win this game. It was a 20-19 Rams lead late in the fourth. Ultimately, he threw a deep ball that got picked off, and the Rams put another few scores up that made this one look a little more lopsided. But I'll touch on the Rams here. 6-6, right in the thick of NFC wildcard hopes. And this offense really is the side of the ball that gives you hope that they can steal a playoff spot, because Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, the running back, Cooper Kupp, like, there's weapons everywhere. And Matt Stafford, 22 of 37 for 279 and 3 touchdowns. Like, he's still a very good quarterback. Still a top 10 quarterback for me when he's healthy. Like, he's that good. And the mastermind that McVay is, he's just a great coach. He's going to scheme things up to get these playmakers involved. So just encouraging game if you're a Rams fan, from what you saw from the offense against a really, really good Cleveland defense. So next up, we get into the 425 window, and I want to hear everyone's takes on this game because it was the game of the week, and it ended up being a dominant win for the San Francisco 49ers. 42-19 win over Philadelphia on the road, moving them to 9-3. Still a game behind Philly for the number 1 seed in the NFC, but if these two teams were to match again in the NFC Championship, like I think most of us expect, San Francisco is going to have a performance to look back on that they can say, okay, this is how we dominated them, and we're going to look to replicate that. So what you guys see? What were your takes? Was it more from a Philadelphia been subpar and just letting things finally catch up to them in this week, or was it like, whoa, San Francisco's a very good team, they just showed why maybe they're the best team in the NFL? I'll let either one of you guys jump us off here and give whichever team you want to touch on and your thoughts on them.
Yeah, I got something to say about this one. I think this game, obviously the score says one story, but I think it was a little bit more competitive, especially early on. And the score dictates, and San Francisco really had their way in this game. I think on offense, they were able to move the football particularly well after the first quarter. But I mean, if you look at the box score as far as like time of possession and total yards and first downs, this game was very close statistically, and that kind of goes back to winning in the margins, winning situational football, winning key moments in the game, things like that. I think the ball bounced San Francisco's way quite a few times in this game, and I think that the Eagles were due for that. The ball has just continued to bounce their way. It seems like every time the ball has an opportunity to bounce, and it keeps bouncing the Eagles' way. And so this game, it just looked like it went the other way. And I think if they met again, this could be a different game. But credit to San Francisco, they played well on both sides of the ball. But I know Christian's going to have a take here. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, I just, I told Brian, and you can hear this, Chase, the Eagles did play 3 games, 13 days span. So, I think, they were tired. You play, 13 days, 3 games. To me, I think out of all positions, the linebacker room, I know they did have an injury with Zach Cunningham, but, Debo Samuel's really just, and Christian McCaffrey, just eating up where the linebackers are supposed to be. And I think 49ers, I will say that's something I will give their head coach for. If he knows a weakness on the team, he really aims for it. And I think going into the game, he realized that the linebacker room for this Eagles team is not that great. So he went right to that attack. And I mean, Brock Purdy did not do anything to really hurt them in this game. You would think, Brock Purdy, I mean, you can say where you sit with him, if he's great, good, or what, but this game, he didn't have one of those plays or one of those throws. Like, what are you doing? Brock Purdy keeps it simple, and Kyle Shanahan got him, I think. If any quarterback he could pick, I think he's got his guy right now in Brock Purdy. But I will say on the Eagles side, I just think, they couldn't play their brand of ball. I mean, they couldn't run the ball, so they went down so quick. I mean, the wide receivers got their stats, but I mean, look at the score. They're going to get their stats, but I know Jalen Hurts did go out for a little bit with the concussion and came back pretty quickly, but I mean, that's for the NFL to decide all that stuff. But I just, a red flag to maybe throw up. I know Jalen Hurts has kind of been dealing with some injuries a little bit this year, and now the concussion. So if the Eagles want to go forward and win games and be definitely a Super Bowl run, Jalen Hurts, they have to keep him upright and keep him healthy.
Yeah, I'm with both of you guys there. I think really this game just should have been closer than what the score reflected. The difference, Philadelphia just nowhere near as efficient in the red zone as San Francisco was Sunday, and it's just a few bounces, like Brian said, the bounces of the ball that have been going Philly's way didn't happen today, and they got out rushed. I think that was the other key component I was searching for. McCaffrey was very dominant on the ground, whereas Jalen Hurts is Philly's leading rusher on Sunday. And obviously, you get behind, you're going to throw the ball a little bit more, but Philly's just dominating football teams when they're sticking to their script and just winning in the trenches, which they can against anybody, obviously. So that was the game of the week, obviously hyped up by NFL media pundits and fans everywhere all week for a good reason. Very, very high chance that both those teams meet up again, and this isn't the only matchup we have to talk about in the football season between the Eagles and the 49ers. So moving along, guys, we get to the now 7-5 Pittsburgh Steelers, who dropped a home game to Kyler Murray and now the 3-10 Arizona Cardinals by a 24-10 score. Kenny Pickett goes out with an injury. Going to be out a few weeks with his injury he sustained in this football game. But even when Mitchell Trubisky come in, like nothing to speak of from the offense. I know it looked better last week since the firing of Matt Canada, but just 10 points to show for, and the defense wasn't good enough against Kyler Murray and company to bail them out this time. So that loss that Pittsburgh we just expected from all year, they've just been finding a way to win games. This is the game that everything just kind of came to a head and it all caught up with them, and they just couldn't do enough, special teams wise, coaching wise, defensive wise, to escape with a W. So brutal loss for them to set them back in the AFC North and the AFC playoff picture as a whole. You can't lose to this Cardinals team. It's not good enough to beat you, especially on the defensive side. So 10 points against that, it's not going to do it. That's all I have. I know it's an AFC North team, so we'll kind of just move it along and get to the Sunday night game, which was one of the better games. Brian, another upset. You're on fire with your Packers upsets right now, and they beat a really good Chiefs team in prime time at home by a 27-19 final. And man, some of the throws that Jordan Love continues to make, I just have to give you credit. He is looking so good. I think Wicks is a great receiver that's on the come up. That's a great connection. And Christian Watson had a really good game as well. A very impressive touchdown catch later in this game. Just a thrilling game. I know it was kind of muddied by some rough officiating to end it. That's really been the storyline throughout the Twitter world and everything else. But I don't think that takes away from what Green Bay did the first 50 minutes of this game. It was a very dominant outing from both sides of the ball. So I'll let both of you touch on the Sunday night game because it was a better one, one of the better ones to watch all year.
Yeah, I kind of see the officiating thing as kind of tit for tat because there's a call earlier in the game that was heavily on Kansas City's side. So I saw the pass interference near the end of the game, and yes, it was pass interference in my opinion. He definitely restricted him from catching that football. But I think the bigger story here is the Packers offense and Jordan Love. I don't think Kansas City particularly played bad. I think Green Bay's defense did enough for them to win this game, but ultimately it came down to Jordan Love making big time throws in the pocket, guys raining down in his grill, man. Like, he played well. There was two specifically on the last touchdown drive that they had, the one where he was fading away in the pocket and he let it fly and it dropped in the hole about 40 yards down the field between like three guys. And then another one where he just rips it with a defender running right at him, man. And it's a beautiful pass right over the corner's hand, outstretched hands, Christian Watson back of the end zone. I mean, just really good play from Jordan Love, and I'm going to continue preaching it. I really think he's everything the media wanted Zach Wilson to be. Like, that's the kind of player he is. And if you look at it from this perspective, Green Bay, it's just pumping him out, man. You go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. Now you got another franchise quarterback on your hands. And, I mean, they're doing something right. They must be doing something right over there. You know, I think a lot of quarterbacks being successful in the league is coming into a situation that allows them to be successful, puts them in position to be successful. And coming into a Packers organization that lets their quarterback have time to develop, and it's proven. You look at Favre, you look at Rodgers, they didn't start off the bat. They didn't start off the jump. They sat. And I think for a lot of quarterbacks, that's what they need, especially guys that come out as raw as a Jordan Love was. I think you can kind of see the polish he has. He's very confident where he's going with the ball. But you also see the swagger he plays with and the arm talent, man. It jumps off the screen at you. So I was very impressed with Jordan Love and company. But also, you know, the Chiefs, they finally let one of these bite them. And they got to be more consistent on offense. And, you know, Rashee Rice has his moments, but I just think the offense has another level to find. It's just not quite clicking on all cylinders at this point in time. Isaiah Pacheco had a heck of a game, though, and I think he could be a key component for that offense going forward.
No, yeah, I agree with you, Brian. I mean, Travis Kelce, I've talked, in a couple of weeks now, back to back to back. He just seems like something, I don't know if it's an injury, just something isn't all there with Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. The connection we've seen for, years now. It just seems like something's not there. Teams are really just taking them out of the game. But what you just said, Travis Kelce and Rice, they just need another guy. I mean, Kadarius Toney was supposed to be that guy, but we all know at this point he's not that guy. Sky Moore's not that guy. So I don't know if it's going to be, after this year, it seems like it's going to happen, but they're going to have to add another piece somewhere on this offense. Or, Pacheco, to me, I preached it last week, isn't that guy that I would think they'd really try to get in the passing game to when he gets the ball. He's at least getting 3 to 4 yards. It's a powerful back, but on the Green Bay side, I will say Jordan Love did impress me. Definitely his little ball that floated in the air like a Hail Mary ball, and Romeo Dobbs came down with it. So my big thing that I like that he does spread the ball. Oh yeah, it was fourth and one, and he threw it. He went for it.
Yeah.
So I just think my big thing is just him spreading the ball. I know Christian Watson did have a hamstring injury during the game. So I think looking forward to what he is or if he's coming back. I know he did have a little bit of movement to Dave. I don't know how big of an injury it is, but if he's not in this offense, I do think it maybe takes a hit. But, I like what I see out of Jordan Love right now, but can he keep it up?
Yeah,
easy schedule the rest of the way.
Yeah, fair enough. No team hotter than Green Bay Packers, maybe, especially since Denver, who had won 5 in a row, fell to the Texans on NFL Week 13. That's it for our recap portion of this pod, guys. Unless you guys have anything else, we'll kind of just get out of here. It was a light slate. This is the last week of the season with bye weeks, as my Ravens, a few other teams on a bye this week. So a light slate to get to and recap for the listener here, but still a fun one. A few big time, big ticket matchups and some really good football games that came down to the wire. Week 14, as we're about to get into for a preview here shortly. A lot of good matchups to look forward to, especially from each of our teams. So with that said, unless you guys have anything else, I'll wrap it up here.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the takes pod, man.
Yeah, let's get into it, guys. Well, that said, as always, guys, thank you all for listening. Continue to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, rate, review, all those good things. The TikToks and YouTube Shorts and all the videos we get posted there as well. Give us a follow on Twitter. And until next time, we will catch you in the takes episode and the preview episode that we will have for you on both Thursday and Friday morning coming your way. Thank you all for listening, and peace out.
Peace.